am here because I have an interest in law, so I want to see how that would go. But as of what I'm expecting tomorrow, I don't know. I'm just hoping that I can keep talking for 12 minutes.
Hi, my name is Pinyo, and I'm interested in law, and I want to take this up as a career. And tomorrow I expect good things to happen. I'm not expecting the worst, but obviously we're gonna try our best. So I expect the best.
My name is Luo Norman, and I'm just expecting to learn a lot tomorrow to just expand my horizons, I guess, and have a good time.
Hi, my name is Maru-a-pula. I'm really excited about this Moot Court thing because I'm really interested in law, but we'll see how that goes. I'm really expecting to learn a lot tomorrow, and I know for sure those judges are gonna tear me apart, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, basically, so I'll be training you today. So I think we should, to familiarize ourselves with each other, perhaps you can just have a young introduction for each one of us.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Moss Habib. I'm actually a student at law at the University of London. So I'm studying at the same university as Robert Mugabe, getting the same degree. So I'm going to tell that to all my employers once I finish, so I can get employed. I'll be done with the degree, hopefully, well, not hopefully, I'm really enthusiastic about finishing my law degree next year by October, after which I do intend to practice and get my master's, probably in international law. I'm not officially affiliated with Orate Africa, but I have worked with them in the past, and they asked me to adjudicate and preside over this moot court. This is my first moot court as an adjudicator, so I'm also kind of going through the motions and learning a couple of things at the same time as you guys, but I hope we have a lot of fun at court. All right.
So how long is that LB at London?
It's usually 3, I opt to do it in 4. Unless you're doing it as a post-grad and you're really crazy, in which case you do it in 2 years.
Wow. Nice to meet you.
Moss.
Moss.
Yeah.
So Moss will be helping me with the training since he has a bit of an idea of what moot court is. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Anna. I'm the Queen's Sister from St. Joseph's College. I'm from first student as well. And I'm a moot court competitor. So, yeah, this is correct.
Hi guys, my name is Luo Norman from Form 4.
Guys, when you're speaking energy.
Form 4 too. Yeah, I'm excited to learn about it because I know nothing about it as of now.
Okay.
Hi guys.
Hello.
My name is Pinyo Loanika. I school at MAP. I'm in Form 3, and I'm really interested in law, and I want to take that up as a career when I grow up.
Wow.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Tshamekang. I'm doing Form 4 at MAP, and I'm kind of interested in law, but we'll see how that goes.
Good afternoon, my name is Bianca. I'm in lower 6th form, and I don't really know much about
You're in what?
lower 6.
What's lower 6?
AS.
AS level.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know much about moot court.
Okay. So what interested you guys in doing moot court?
Well, for me, I used to, well, I don't know, law was always like, oh, I might want to study that, so now I know for sure, because I'll have some information, see what it's really like.
Have you guys debated before?
I'm a debater.
You're a debater. Have you guys debated before? You only have one debater. So do you have like a team debate at your school?
Yeah, we do.
But you see, moot court is nothing short of debate really. I think the only difference between a debate and moot court is that debate requires a lot of research. You have to research before you appear before any judge, before you appear before any presiding officer really. You have to ensure that you know your ish. With debate, you can have an opinion about something, and then you can guard it with a lot of assertions of what you read. But with moot court, you have to really research. Like, that's where it all goes down. So you will learn to know as you see the demonstration. I'm hoping you guys will get to see the demonstration first thing tomorrow before we start. But basically, yeah, moot court is a young courtroom for young aspiring attorneys like you guys. And we also went through it. I underwent it when I was in University of Botswana. Like we had a lot of moot court. We even took it as a subject, and we took it as one of the programs that we had to complete to obtain our degree. So it's fun. I really want you guys to have fun because it's a really fun thing. Have you ever seen moot court in action?
No, I've only watched videos online.
How was that?
Oh, scary.
Why was it scary?
That judge is cheering that child.
That's exactly what happens when you don't do your research. It will tear you apart. That's a fact. You will be torn apart if you don't do your research. Because you have to remember you're representing a client. You're representing a client, you're representing a state, and in your case, international law, you're representing a country. So you have to bring your A game. It's real life. It's not debate where you can just say, no, I can get away with anything. You don't get away with anything in that. And you'll feel terrible when you do bad in court. You'll really feel bad, so research is very important. But as, I think we should follow this, right?
Yeah, we should try.
So basically we're at Introduction to Moot Court. So like I said, it's only just a young courtroom session for students. We have your A team and your B team. That's the applicant side and that's the respondent side. So basically what's going to happen is that usually a country would violate, in your case international law, a country will violate human rights, and then they'll take up the matter with the African court, and then the African court will preside over the matter. And then you'll have your appellants being that state coming to show its case saying that I didn't violate the said laws. Or rather you'll have the appellant saying that this country violated the country laws and we're not happy with that. And you have your respondents coming and saying that no, we defend this, we don't agree with you guys. In fact, we followed the law and this was a proper procedure and therefore there's no case before us. There's no case that we can answer to. So basically that's what really happens in a moot court. So I'll take like a very simple example, like with our domestic courts. Somebody, what's your name again?
Bianca.
Bianca and?
Waruna.
Bianca and Waruna. So Bianca will be owing Larona, is it what? Larona? Waruna. Waruna will be owing Bianca 100 pula. And then Bianca's like, okay, I can sue this girl to bring back my money. So Waruna will go to court and say that, okay, I'm asserting my rights, I'm entitled to 100 pula, I gave you 100 pula, and I'm bringing a case against you. So you bring your case. In our case, it will be the plaintiff. And then you have Bianca saying that I don't owe this girl money. In fact, I gave her the money just last week. I don't know why she's going to court, bringing this matter before court. So you guys will appear before the presiding officer, and then he'll hear both sides of the case, and then after that make a conclusive decision looking at case law. So basically now we talk about the memorials. The memorials is basically your set of pleadings. What are you pleading? What's your case? You're going to bring a case against somebody, so you have to have something on paper to show. So that's what I like about moot court. It's not only about vocals and talking and all of that. It's also about your written skills. You have to be really good at writing. You have to also like articulate yourself properly in your papers, because you'll realize that in law, we have what we call an application and we have what we call an action. In an application, your papers speak for themselves. Even if you come and argue, the judge is going to, as conclusive evidence, look at your written submissions. Whereas in action, you can bring a witness and then you guys can have a trial and say, oh, this is what she said, this is what she said. So that's where they differ. So in your case, your memorial is, I don't know how to say this, it should speak for itself. It's something that should be able to tell a story that you want to tell the court, even in your absence. So that's why it's very important that you also like up your writing skills when it comes to moot court. And then another segment, my favorite also, is the oral submissions. This is where now you'll be appearing before the judges and explaining your papers. Now the beauty about it is that whatever you've written, you don't have to say it word for word. And I think that's the mistake that people do, and that's why they lose creativity in moot court. They basically reiterate what they wrote in their documents. Whereas it's supposed to be something more fun than that. It's supposed to be you writing your submissions and then later coming and giving an overview of what you are basically saying without having to read word for word. There's nothing pleasant in reading out loud what you've written. I mean, by tomorrow I would know what you guys are going to talk about. But I want to hear from you, what's your main assertion? What are you saying in essence? What are you saying holistically? What are you trying to say without having to reiterate what you wrote in your papers? So that's the lovely bit about moot court.
But at the same time, just remember, you can't spring something that is not already included in your memorial. Don't surprise us with something that is completely unrelated. And even though it may be something that's going to win your case, if it's not in the memorial, we're going to ask you why are you bringing this up now, why didn't you write it down yesterday, and so on and so forth. Usually memorials are submitted a couple of weeks in advance, and that was supposed to be the situation here anyway. So if you are going to speak about something or you believe that this is your winning point, make sure it is in your memorial. If it's not there, it's not there. Find something else.
That's very true. Also, that's another point of departure between debate and moot court. You know how in debate you like bring an element of surprise. You're like, I caught you, this is what I'm gonna say. We don't have that in moot court. In moot court, you have to like tell your opponent that, look, I have a case against you and this is what I'm saying. And they have to be, have you guys heard about the rules of natural justice?
No.
That a person has to be given time to know the charges laid against them in any case, and they also have to have time to respond to those charges before you guys can appear before an independent presiding officer. So basically that's what moot court is all about. You don't bring an element of surprise, because that when the judge is going to throw it out is like, did you tell the respondent about this? And if you answer no, then I don't have jurisdiction to hear that. I don't want to hear that. So you're going to have to go back and file another plea, and then afresh, and then file it to the opponent, and then they'll have something to say about it. They can't hear about it for the first time in court. So that's another thing that you should know about in court. Whatever you say in your documents, that's what you're going to produce in your oral submissions. So that's a very good point. So far, any questions?
No, not really.
So your written skills as well as your oral skills that played a part in this one. And also another important element is legal research. You have to do a lot of research. Like the question that you guys have, again you have it, the question.
Yeah, it's here.
It has everything you want to know. Everything you want to know about this case. They're telling you about the constitution of muchachos. Is it muchachos?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm very hungry. I might not be saying it right. They might be talking about muchachos and the constitution of muchachos, sorry. And they refer to African Charter. They refer to all those treaties. It's not a blessing in disguise. It's something that's going to be very useful when you write your memorials. So they're giving you hints. Muchachos has not signed or ratified this treaty, and therefore you have to speak to that. Okay, if something is not ratified or signed by a state, is it binding on them? Especially when a person from an international court can come and say, okay, you guys have violated this treaty. You also have to look at, okay, Muchachos has violated this treaty at the African court stage, but in terms of Botswana, have we ratified this treaty enough to want ourselves to be bound by it? So that's something also you have to look at. And also the constitution, you have to know the constitution. And they've given you, I get it's just an imaginary state, so I don't think you have to look at our constitution per se. I think everything is in the papers, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So you just look at that question, and then you'll see that it holds all the answers that you need. It has something on the African Charter being similar to the constitution I saw somewhere. And then I also saw them writing order, this is not signed and it's not ratified by the state. So also I think it's some arguments that you might want to bring up in your memorials as you're about to submit them. It would have been nice if you guys had written down the memorials so that we can just have a look at them today. And then you can give you tips on how to upgrade them so that when you go, it's not for the first time. But it's unfortunate that we're doing it for the first time. But legal research is very important. So go and have a look at African Charter, go and have a look at all those treaties and see how they can help you with those cases. Because I saw like 3 issues there, which you will bring on your own as you are writing your memorials. And then you also have to research those. Because as you speak, you're going to be able to bring your legal points in, saying that as per the African Charter, this is what it says about this issue, and therefore this is also in line with my argument as I've espoused it before this court. Is that right?
Yeah.
So legal research is important because it's going to come in your memorials. This is something that's going to support you guys. And also there's what we call case law. There are decided cases at an international level that deal with human rights. So you might want to have a look at that as well. The internet is spread with information. I think it's something that you'll be able to find just at a point of you Google and saying that this is what I want to find out. So it's nothing hectic.